I'm saying, like, can we be more aware as women, like, how much do I give away of myself because my husband may want to have some sex tonight?
Welcome to the God, Money, and Sex podcast. My name is Raul Villacis, and I'm here with the beautiful, the one, and the only
Vivian Villacis.
So I'm so happy to be here, babe. This is the first podcast of 2019.
We've been busy. We've been doing so much that it's taking us this long to get back on the podcast. I missed it.
We have a shit ton of things to talk about.
I know. There's so much to talk about, but
to catch up on.
Yeah.
But here's the topic, and we're actually doing this also in Instagram Live. So if you're watching us through Instagram, just make sure you put your comment below and share with us some of the questions that you want to hear. So today's topic, we're going to talk about, what are we going to talk about?
Why marriages don't have enough sex.
Because the biggest complaint that I get from my guys, from my coaching clients, like, I want to have more sex.
And then for some women, sometimes it's like, I can't believe that he's even thinking about sex. There's so much going on in my life. So I just can't.
I always think about it like sex and money. I mean, those are the main drivers for a man. Like, if you're a man and you listen to this podcast, just make sure you comment so women know how important sex is for a man and how important money is for a man. Because I think two and two come together. When you're not making money, like you don't feel sometimes that you have that sex drive, I think, and you don't have enough sex. Doesn't matter how much money you're making, it's never gonna be enough. So they both go hand in hand because both money and sex gives you significance.
And I think it's for women too. Like it's so important for us. Like, and this is the reason why we talk about God, money, and sex, because as it is important for men, it's important for women. Like those are the biggest driving forces in our lives. And sex is a very important part of our lives. It's just like, the way to look at it is like we've been married 20 years. It's going to be 20 years. And there's been time in our life like sex was not a priority. And if you start to think why, either because we're just too entertained with everything else that's going on in our life, we just don't have enough time for it, or maybe we don't make the time for it.
Well, I'd say at the beginning, one of the reasons that I wanted to get married, because I thought married people have sex all
More
the time.
sex.
I was like, okay, if we get married, we're gonna have all this time together, and we did. At the beginning, we had a lot of sex at the beginning, but that's the honeymoon stage, right?
Yeah, because we were so into each other.
Because we were not going to work sometimes. I remember to tell you, like,
just
call in work. Let's just stay in bed. But then after you have kids, you build a business, shit gets in the way, and then sex becomes something that is more like a luxury, I would say, not a must.
And that's one of the biggest challenges that I see now with the clients that I'm with. It's like, they want to have sex. Don't get me wrong, like they want to, but it's just like either we've come, like I wrote a couple of notes down, and one of the biggest things that happens once we make the time, to be in the bedroom or wherever you are, to have that part of the intimacy, to have sex, we have this time with our spouse, and we start talking about, our friends or the problems or the bills or, our kids, every other conversation except what you stray away from you were there to do.
So you tell me that women are not ready to have sex at any given time?
No, we're not.
So that's the difference. That's the big difference
Not
between
all the
women
time.
and men. It's like when we talk to men about sex, we get turned on right away. It's like, okay, just like, you ready? Just give me a couple of minutes and we're ready. And I think that's where we as men, we mess up because we think that women are gonna get turned on, and women, it takes a while. And if you're having that conversation about kids, about bills, about problems,
it's a turn off.
It's a turn off. And then all of a sudden, there is no chemistry. There is no desire.
Yeah.
And then you go to bed with all those things in your head. I mean, we've done this before.
Yes.
We've done this. So what's the solution? So married couples could actually overcome that.
So, well, that's one of the things that, as we're talking with our clients, is like, we do that too often, right? So I say, like, set up a time that you could actually have this conversation in another day. Like set up like 5-10 minutes, or have these conversations like during the week, not when you're scheduling time to have sex.
So don't bring that to the bed. Don't bring problems.
It's a turn off.
Especially if you want to have sex.
Yeah.
If you want to have sex, make sure that you have a seductive conversation towards the outcome instead of bringing in the problems. And then, because here's what happens, I think that a lot of guys, I know from my experience, like sometimes you're the only person that I get to share some of those insights with, and then I'm coming home and I said, I'm excited about something and I'm telling you about something, but your mind is not into it.
Yeah.
And that's where we make the mistake, that you think that I think that you want to hear about all the shit that I'm going through.
I do, but now when we're setting up the time, like if we both agreed to have our sex time, like don't bring those problems into that moment. Like let's just have those conversations at another time.
All right, so schedule time for sex.
Yes.
And don't bring all the drama to the bedroom. All right.
So here's another thing that happens, that we are at fault all the time for doing this. And I know men, women, I think we're pretty much the same thing. It's like we give our all. We do everything. Like we drain ourselves all the time on the outside, whether we're in business world and we're taking care of kids or in the office, wherever you are, like you give your all, and all of a sudden you come back home. And remember I said this, it's like you come home and you're exhausted. You've depleted yourself from all that you are, from like, you come home to chill out.
You come home and you want Netflix and chill.
And you want to do anything
because you don't have the energy. You don't have the
desire.
I'm talking to the men. Like, and when you come home, sometimes we come home and we're like, "Fuck, I'm home."
You don't want to do anything.
I don't want to do nothing. I just want to just sit down and take a break. And I get it, because we're out there in the battlefield every single day. But we have to have the mentality. At least for me, like I can't turn it off when I'm home. Like,
turn what off?
Turn off that energy, turn off that drive, because the kids need it. Like what I tell my guys is like, if you are giving 100% in your business and you come home and you half-assing with your kids and with your wife, you're failing.
Okay, and then for women, I feel like we have to pace ourselves, because like for me, it's like, say I have 100% of my energy. If I'm giving 90% of who I am outside to everyone and everything else, when I come home and I only have 10% to give to you and the kids, how is that going to work to get me to, the bedroom? Especially to have sex, because it's like by the time I get to have sex, I am depleted. There is no longer desire for me to actually, because sex takes a lot of work and it takes a lot from us. So I think men sometimes don't understand that. It's like, how can I ask so much of me if there's no more left? And not to say that is your fault, but I'm saying, like, can we be more aware as women, like how much do I give away of myself because my husband may want to have some sex tonight?
I love it. And the same thing with guys. Like we're constantly going. We're going 100 miles an hour. We're giving 100% into our business. We're giving 100% to our clients. And we come home, we have fasting with our kids. We have fasting with our women, and we don't have enough energy.
That's right. And then by the time you get there, you're like,
so you have to train yourself. And I think that's also the stamina on training yourself and having the mindset that you can't deplete yourself and give the leftovers to your family. And I've done that before, and I remember feeling guilty and feeling the shame that I'm depleting myself. I started realizing, like, I need to make sure that I protect my energy, that if anything at work is bothering me, I have to leave at work, and I have to train myself. I have to train my mind. I have to train my body to make sure that I'm giving 100% to my business, to my clients, and to my family, and to my kids. Without any excuses.
And we've talked in the past, like a transition time for you guys, whether it's for men or women, like have a transition time to come home. And one of the biggest things that we don't do is we don't plan for it. Like once you're married, once you have kids, one of the biggest reasons why sex doesn't happen is because we don't plan for it. We don't schedule it, we don't talk about it. Like if I don't communicate that I need to have a day, like a sex day or a spa day or whatever day, like we schedule everything else
except for that.
And once you have kids, I think you have to, that's like when it takes the most time to plan.
And I think that women, from my experience, that women think that they can't schedule that with their guy. That is a guy thing, that if I want to have sex, I have to make the first move, or I have to ask for it, or I have to like. And I'll tell you right now, like, guys, please comment below and let me know if I speak for most men out there. But we would love for women to schedule sex time. We would love for women to say, "Hey, babe, I need to have sex. I want you. I need you." The times that you've texted me, it's a turn on. It's a turn on. It's like, okay, I'm wanted. It's not like we expect you to make the move all the time, but it's nice when a woman makes a move and said, "Okay, I guess I don't have to, do it because if you leave it up to us, we'll do what we want to, but it'd be nice to see being wanted as well.
And that's a great thing that you say, because that's one of the things that you could do to improve or to have more sex in your relationship is initiate sex. And that's something that I know that's how it was for me. Like, I didn't think that I needed to initiate it, but it's important.
And one thing that we'll tell the listeners right now, like a lot of times when we have the times that we have epic sex are most of the time we didn't want to at the beginning, or it was kind of like
when you didn't want to.
It was kind of like, okay, well, let's do it, but it wasn't like it wasn't planned. It wasn't that it was intentional. It's like, so what you're saying, like initiate sex, like you have to initiate it and just go with it. You know, sometimes you're not gonna feel like doing it
because you're not in that
because
frame
you're not
of
in the
mind.
mode, or you're not, you know, it's a work day, maybe a weekday. With okay, I'm gonna, we're gonna have a quickie or something like that. But no, with the times that we said, oh, it was really epic. It was because we took the time to initiate and allow ourselves to enjoy it, and not rush through it, or not necessarily think that it's something like I'm gonna check it off. And I think a lot of women just check that off with the guys, and just okay, I'm gonna have sex with him tonight because you know he's asking for it. You have to create a space that is enjoyable, and I mean just put intention behind it. I mean I don't know.
It's so funny.
I'm just thinking about it. I'm thinking in my mind all the times that it has happened to us, and the times like we put it off. And we always say the same things, like, why do we put it off so much? Like,
that it feels so good.
It feels so good. Why do we put it off so?
It makes me think of it like when I go to the gym, like I put it off for so long, but when I get there, like when I actually, it takes me longer to get to the gym, I'm putting it off. But when I get there, like it feels so good after I exercise. It's the same thing with, you know, your experience, sexual experiences. Like it takes so much work, it takes so much energy, but once you're done with it, like it's just releases so much. There's such an amazing connection. And all these things happen. So I just thought of something that I think we just started doing it, or maybe we haven't really started, but we said like we're going to create a consequence if say in your marriage, wherever you are in marriage, whether you want to, and not necessarily have sex. I mean, we're talking about sex, but it could be like, you know, put yourself a challenge that you want to reconnect with your spouse. Maybe it's just like holding hands or eye gazing or going on a date night. Like set yourself a goal of like how many times you want to do this. Do you want to have 3 times a week sex, or do you want to have 3 times a week some eye gazing or a date night? But have a consequence behind it. So like if you don't meet this amount of times, it could be whether it's a good consequence or a bad consequence, something you both agree on, you know, depending how you're driven.
It's the same thing as everything else. There's always consequences, but for not having sex, there is no immediate consequence except for the separation from the man and the woman. And I tell you right now, from my experience, the longer you continue to go without having that intimacy, the longer you continue to go without having that conversation, the harder it is to get back into that mode.
Yeah, because it's so awkward. And then, you know, now more than ever, we see like the divorce rate, it's so high. And this is one of the biggest reasons, like, and we always talk about God, money, and sex, because these are the things that drive all this like negative things if you don't have that in your life. So I read somewhere like people in the past would get divorced because they were unhappy, and now people get divorced because they think that they could be happy somewhere else. But that's not the truth. Like we find happiness, you know, with the person that we've invested. Like I've invested so much in you already. Like I know that there is happiness there. It just,
and I think that also like you have to start looking at it. If you're not happy with your partner, are you happy without your partner? Yeah. Can you be happy first and then bring that happiness to your partner? Because a lot of, you know, we talk about it all the time. Like, you know, couples talk about she completes me or he completes me or she's my better half, I'm the better half. It's like we come to a mindset that like you're 100% your woman, I'm 100% my own man. Yes. And together we could create something that it's magical if we have that framework of like you are your own woman, I'm my own man. You don't complete me, I don't complete you.
It's so different. Yeah, it's so different.
We don't need to be with each other, but we want to be with each other.
Yeah, I am whole without you. And when you're complete and whole on your own, then that's the attraction. That's the passion that both men and women need. So, I mean, if you get anything out of this podcast that you're listening, it's like take your time as women to really like grow in yourself and grow in who you want to be. And as you start to grow, we always talk about this, is like you start to exude this love and this energy that would create the space for you to have epic, loving connection and sex, and a bigger and a better connection with God, and the money just flows and everything just happens, because where your energy is, that's where the energy flows.
And I think that nobody's ever gotten divorced if they said, man, I had epic sex, I'm making so much money, and I feel like God or the universe is guiding me. I don't think anybody has ever gotten divorced if they have those three things work in their life. So make sure if you follow us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook and iTunes, Spotify, follow us everywhere except for our bedroom. There's three things you need to do. Number one is schedule sex time. Especially if you're married, plan it, schedule it, make sure it's in your calendar. Second is don't bring the drama, the conversations to your bedroom.
Create that sacred space.
You create the space to have passion and intimacy.
Yeah.
And the third is?
Consequences. I would say consequences, or just get curious. I would say get curious about like what else could you bring, something new. Get curious about each other.
Try something new.
Yeah.
Try something new. Love it. Thank you, babe. Thank you for always pushing me to the next level. And if you're following me on Instagram and on Facebook and all those other social media platforms, thank you. Put some questions in it so we can answer next time. Happy 2019. We're happy that we're back. Learn it, live it, experience it.
Love life.